Jake Morrison walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. His boots made small clicking sounds on the smooth metal floor. The chamber was huge, bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. The ceiling stretched so high that he could barely see the top. Strange lights floated in the air, casting weird shadows on the walls. 12 different alien species sat around a giant circle. Each species looked completely different from the others. Some looked like giant insects with many legs. Others were made of what seemed like living crystal. A few looked like floating gas clouds with glowing eyes. Jake had studied them all before coming here, but seeing them in person was still shocking. Captain. Lisa Parker walked beside Jake. She was his military advisor and bodyguard. Her hand stayed close to her weapon, even though she knew it would not help much here. The council station had shields that could stop almost any attack. Lisa had short brown hair and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. She watched every alien. Carefully, the chamber fell silent as Jake reached the center of the circle. He stood straight and tall, showing no fear. His gray hair was cut short in military style. Deep lines on his face showed he had seen many battles and hard times. At 60 years old, he had spent most of his life serving the Terran Empire. A being made of blue crystal stood up. This was the Zephyrian High Counselor, the leader of the Galactic Council. When it spoke, machines translated its words into human language. The voice sounded cold and harsh. Human Morrison, you stand before the Council today to hear our final decision about your species. Jake said nothing. He just stared at the crystal being with calm eyes. Lisa could feel the tension in the room. All the aliens were watching them. Like hunters watching prey, the counselor continued. For too long, the Terran Empire has grown without limits. Your people take resources from planets faster than any species we have seen. You build colonies everywhere without asking permission. You refuse to follow the laws that keep peace in the galaxy. Other aliens around the circle made noises of agreement. Some clicked their teeth or claws. Others made buzzing sounds. A few flashed lights from their bodies. Jake understood they all agreed with the counselor. Your warships patrol space that does not belong to you, said another alien. This one looked like a giant worm with tentacles for arms. You claim entire star systems just because you arrived there first. Jake finally spoke. We claim systems that nobody else was using. We never took planets from other species. We only settled on empty worlds. The Crystal Counselor made a sound like breaking glass. Jake realized this was probably laughter. Empty? You call planets empty just because we had not built cities there yet. Many of those worlds were marked for future use by Council species. We saw no markers. We found no signs of ownership, Jake replied. His voice stayed calm and steady. Lisa watched the aliens carefully. She could tell they were getting angry. Their body language was becoming more aggressive. Some of the insect-like aliens were clicking their claws together. The gas cloud beings were glowing brighter. The counselor raised one crystal arm for silence. It does not matter now. The council has made its decision. We offer humanity one last chance to avoid destruction. Jake felt his heart beat faster, but his face showed no emotion. What are your terms? First, all human colonies indisputed. Systems must be abandoned within 72 Earth hours. Your people must pack up and leave immediately. Lisa's hand moved closer to her weapon. This was impossible. Those colonies had millions of people. They could not evacuate everyone in 3 days. Second, the counselor continued, all Terran military ships must return to your home system. The council will station observers on every human world to make sure you follow our rules. Third, humanity must accept limits on population growth. No new colonies will be allowed. No more than 2 children per family on existing worlds. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the floating lights seemed to dim. Jake could hear his own breathing. These terms would slowly destroy humanity. Without new colonies, they would run out of space and resources. Their civilization would die. Jake looked around the circle at all the alien faces. Some looked pleased. Others seemed bored, as if this was just routine business for them. None showed any concern for human lives. "You are asking us to commit suicide as a species," Jake said quietly, the crystal being flashed with bright light. "We are offering you survival, human. Many species before you have accepted similar terms. They still exist under council protection. As slaves," Lisa said suddenly. All eyes turned to her. "You want us to become your slaves?" Several aliens made angry noises. The insect beings clicked their claws loudly. One of the gas clouds flashed red with rage. "Captain Parker speaks the truth," Jake said. "These are not terms of peace. This is surrender without hope." The counselor's crystal body began to glow brighter. "Then you refuse our generous offer?" Jake thought about Earth, about the billions of humans living on hundreds of worlds. He thought about human children playing in parks on distant planets. He thought about the scientists and explorers who had spent their lives reaching for the stars. All of it would end if he agreed to these terms. "Humanity does not kneel," Jake said loudly. His voice echoed through the chamber. "We have never surrendered to anyone, and we will not start now." The chamber exploded with alien voices. Some were shouting in languages the translators could not handle. Others were making threatening gestures with claws, tentacles, or energy fields. The counselor waited for quiet, then spoke again. "And you have chosen extinction. Our combined fleets will remove the human disease from the galaxy. You're aggressive. Expansion ends now." Two tall aliens that looked like walking trees moved toward Jake and Lisa. These were the council guards. They would escort the humans back to their ship. As they walked toward the exit, Lisa leaned close to Jake. "Sir, do they have any idea what they just did?" Jake's face showed the first smile he had worn since entering the chamber. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just been challenged. "No, Lisa. They think they are dealing with the same humans who first left Earth 300 years ago. They have no idea how much we have changed. They think we are weak because we chose peace for so long," Lisa whispered. "That was their mistake," Jake replied. "They should have studied human history more carefully. We are most dangerous when someone threatens our families." The chamber doors closed behind them with a loud bang. Inside, the aliens were already planning their attack. They had no idea that they had just awakened something terrible. The Terran Empire had been peaceful for centuries, but only because no one had been foolish enough to threaten human extinction. That was about to change. The Council would soon learn why the galaxy had left humanity alone for 300 years. They were about to discover what happened when humans had no choice but to fight for their survival. The war they had just started would change everything. Admiral Ben Tucker stood on the bridge of his massive warship called the Revenge. Through the huge windows, he could see hundreds of other human ships floating in the darkness of space. They were all waiting near Neptune, the 8th planet in Earth's solar system. The ships looked like deadly metal sharks ready to hunt. Ben was 55 years old, with gray hair and cold blue eyes. He had spent his whole adult life in the Terran Navy. Scars on his hands and face told stories of battles with space pirates and hostile aliens. He was known throughout the fleet as a man who never gave up and never showed mercy to enemies who threatened human lives. "Admiral, all ships are ready," said Commander Amy Rodriguez. She was Ben's second in command, a smart woman with black hair and brown eyes. Amy had graduated top of her class from the Naval Academy on Mars. She was an expert at space battles and ship tactics. Ben nodded slowly. "How many ships do we have total?" 300 ships in our fleet, sir. But Fleet Command says they are. Calling back every ship from across human space. We should have over 2,000 ships ready for battle within the week. Ben smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a wolf preparing to hunt. The Galactic Council had made their ultimatum 3 days ago. They expected humans to surrender like scared children. Instead, they had awakened the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. Open a communication channel to Earth Command. Ben ordered. The main screen in front of them lit up with the image of Fleet Admiral Steve Harrison. Steve was Ben's old friend and the commander of all Terran forces. His face was covered with scars from a battle with alien raiders 10 years. Go. One of his eyes was artificial, glowing with a soft blue light. Ben, the situation is moving fast, Steve said. Our spy satellites show massive alien fleets heading toward our border worlds. The Council is not playing games. They really plan to attack us. Good, Ben replied. How long do we have? Maybe a week before they reach our outer colonies. But, Ben, you need to understand something. The Council species have never seen real human military power. For 300 years, we have been careful to only show them our exploration ships and small patrol vessels. Amy looked confused. Sir, why? Did we hide our real strength? Steve answered her question. Because peace was profitable, Commander. We could explore and build colonies without fighting wars. The Council species left us alone because they thought we were weak. That was exactly what we wanted them to think. Ben walked closer to the screen. Steve, how many ships are the aliens bringing? Intelligence reports suggest around 5,000 ships total. 12 different species, all working together. They think their numbers will crush us easily. They are wrong, Ben said quietly. Had they ever seen our new weapons in action? Never. The quantum torpedoes, the gravity shields, the stealth systems, all of it is completely unknown to them. As far as the Council knows, humans still fight with the same basic energy weapons everyone else uses. Amy felt excitement building inside her. She had trained with the new weapons, but never used them in real battle. The quantum torpedoes could pass right through enemy shields like they were not even there. The gravity shields could stop almost any attack. And the stealth systems made human ships nearly invisible. What about their tactics? Ben asked. Steve laughed, but it sounded bitter. They fight like it is still the old days, Ben. Long-range energy exchanges, formal battle lines, predictable movements. They have been at peace for so long, they have forgotten how to really fight. And humans remember, Ben said. Humans never forgot. We just chose not to use that knowledge. Until now. Ben thought about human history. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years before they reached space. They had learned every possible way to kill enemies and destroy their will to fight. Other species had long periods of peace, but humans had been warriors since the beginning of their civilization. Steve, what are your orders? Show them what happens when someone threatens human children. Use everything we have. Hold nothing back. Make sure this never happens again. The communication ended. Ben turned to face his crew. Everyone on the bridge was listening. They all knew what was coming. Amy, send a message to all ship commanders. We are implementing Protocol 7. Amy's eyes went wide. Protocol 7 was the most aggressive battle plan in the Terran Navy. It meant no prisoners, no mercy, and no limits on weapons use. It was only used when humanity faced extinction. Sir, Protocol 7 authorizes the use of planet-killer weapons if necessary. I know what it authorizes, Commander. Send the message. As Amy worked at her computer, Ben looked out at the fleet again. Each ship contained hundreds of trained human warriors. They had been preparing for this day their whole lives, even if they did not know it. Every human child learned about the wars of Earth's past. Every human military officer studied the great battles of history. The alien council species thought they were dealing with peaceful explorers. They were about to meet the descendants of the most successful predators in Earth's history. Admiral, message sent. All ships acknowledge Protocol 7. Good. Now open a channel to Captain Nick Carter on the Defiant. The screen showed a younger man with short blonde hair and green eyes. Nick was one of Ben's best ship commanders, known for his aggressive tactics and creative thinking. Admiral, my ships are ready to move. What are my orders? Nick, take 50 ships and head for the Kepler 442 system. Intelligence says a large council fleet is heading there. They probably think it will be an easy target. How many ships are they bringing, sir? About 800, Nick smiled. 16. To 1 odds. That seems fair. Amy looked shocked. Sir, 50 ships against 800? Should we send more support? Ben shook his head. Commander, you still think like the enemy thinks. You see numbers and assume they matter. Watch and learn why they do not. Nick's image on the screen nodded. Admiral, we will show the Council what human ships can really do. They want to see aggression? We will give them aggression they will never forget. Make sure some of their ships escape, Nick. We want survivors to tell the others what happened. Understood, sir. See you on the other side. The communication ended. Ben watched as Nick's 50 ships began moving away from the main fleet. They looked small compared to the hundreds of other vessels, but Ben knew those 50 ships carried enough firepower to destroy entire planets if necessary. Amy, how long until we know the result of the first battle? About 18 hours, sir. Captain Carter's ships should reach Kepler 442 by then. Ben nodded. In 18 hours, the galaxy would change forever. The Council species would learn that humanity had been hiding its true nature for 3 centuries. They would discover that peaceful humans and helpless humans were not the same thing. The war was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what they had awakened. They thought they were about to crush a weak species. Instead, they were about to face the full fury of humanity unleashed. Ben smiled again as he watched the stars. Soon, those stars would light up with the fire of human vengeance. Captain Nick Carter stood on the bridge of his warship Defiant as it dropped out of hyperspace. The Kepler 442 system spread out before them, with its yellow sun and 5 planets. But Nick was not looking at the planets. He was looking at the massive alien fleet waiting for them. That 800 council ships floated in perfect formation near the 4th planet. They were arranged in neat rows like soldiers on parade. The ships were huge and colorful, painted in the bright colors each alien species preferred. Some were red like blood, others were bright blue or green. They looked impressive and powerful. Nick counted only 50 human ships around him. His fleet looked tiny compared to the alien armada. The enemy outnumbered them 16 to 1. Any normal military commander would turn around and run away. But Nick was not a normal commander, and these were not normal ships. Sir, the alien fleet is moving toward us, reported Lieutenant Commander Kelly Brooks. She was Nick's tactical officer, a sharp woman with red hair and brown eyes. Kelly had spent 5 years studying alien battle tactics at the Naval War College. How are they moving? Nick asked. Standard council formation, sir. They are spreading out in a long line, trying to surround us. They plan to use their energy. Weapons at long range. Nick smiled. Of course they do. That is how they have fought for 1,000 years. Kelly, send a message to all our ships. Tell them to implement Protocol 7, full aggression mode. Kelly's fingers danced over her control. Panel, message sent, sir. All ships are ready. Good. Now show these aliens what happens when they threaten human children. The alien fleet was still moving slowly, taking their time to get into position. Their commanders probably thought this would be an easy victory. They had studied old reports about human ships and expected weak energy weapons and simple tactics. They were about to learn how wrong they were. All ships, begin attack run, Nick ordered. Show them the human way of war. The 50 human ships suddenly accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible. The gravity compensation systems inside kept the crews alive as they pulled maneuvers. That would have killed any alien pilot. The human ships moved like hawks diving on prey, fast and deadly. The alien commanders were shocked. Their ships could not move that fast without killing their crews. They tried to adjust their formation, but the humans were already too close. Quantum torpedoes ready, Kelly reported. All ships have target locks. Fire everything, Nick commanded. Hundreds of quantum torpedoes shot out from the human ships. These were not the simple energy weapons the aliens expected. Quantum torpedoes used advanced physics to pass right through shields as if they did not exist. The aliens watched in horror as their powerful shields did nothing to stop the incoming weapons. The first wave of torpedoes hit the alien fleet like hammers hitting glass. Ship after ship exploded in bright flashes of light. The aliens had never seen weapons that could ignore their shields. Their thick armor was torn apart like paper. Direct hits on 200 enemy ships, Kelly reported with excitement in her voice. They are not adapting to our tactics fast enough. The alien fleet tried to fight back. Hundreds of energy beams shot toward the human ships. But the humans had gravity shields that bent space around their vessels. Most of the alien shots missed completely. The few that hit did almost no damage. Nick watched the battle display with satisfaction. This was not really a battle. It was a demonstration of why the galaxy had left humanity alone for 3 centuries. The aliens were using weapons and tactics from 1,000 years ago. Humans had never stopped improving their military technology. Second wave, target their command ships, Nick ordered. The human ships moved through the alien formation like sharks through a school of fish. Every movement was planned and deadly. The aliens tried to retreat, but human ships were faster. They tried to surrender, but humans were not taking prisoners today. Sir, the enemy fleet is breaking apart, Kelly reported. They are trying to run away. Let some of them escape. We want survivors to tell the others what happened here. The battle lasted only 18 minutes. When it was over, more than 700 alien ships were destroyed or disabled. Pieces of metal and debris floated through space like a graveyard. Only about 50 alien ships managed to escape into hyperspace. The human fleet had suffered 0 casualties. Not one human ship was even seriously damaged. Kelly, send a message to Admiral Tucker. Tell him the first test is complete. What should I tell him about casualties, sir? Tell him we followed his orders perfectly. The aliens learned their lesson. While Nick's fleet was destroying the Council forces at Kepler 442, similar battles were happening across the galaxy. Human fleets appeared from hyperspace near Council strongholds and alien homeworlds. Each battle followed the same pattern. The aliens expected easy victories and found themselves facing military technology they could not understand. On the Council homeworld, panic was spreading through the government buildings. Reports were coming in from across their territory. Human fleets were striking everywhere at once. Every engagement ended the same way. Total defeat for the Council forces. The Zephyrian High Counselor stood in the emergency command center, its crystal body flickering with stress patterns. Other Council leaders surrounded it, all talking at once in fear and confusion. How is this possible? Demanded the Counselor. Our intelligence said the humans had only 3,000 ships total. The intelligence was wrong, replied the Altarian representative, its insect-like body clicking with nervousness. The humans have been lying to us for centuries. They have been hiding their real military strength. But their ships are so small, protested another alien. How can they carry such powerful weapons? Their technology is beyond ours, admitted the military advisor, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish. These quantum weapons they use, we have never seen anything like them. And their ships move in ways that should kill the crews inside. The counselor watched the battle reports continue to arrive. Every few minutes, another council fleet was destroyed. The humans were not just winning battles. They were destroying entire armadas without losing a single ship. How many ships do they really have? The counselor asked quietly. We do not know. Our estimates could be off by thousands, maybe tens of thousands. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Council faced an enemy they could not defeat. The humans had revealed themselves to be far more advanced and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Sir, said another aide, we are receiving reports of rebellion in our outer territories. Dozens of species are declaring independence. They think the council is finished. The counselor realized the terrible truth. The council had ruled the galaxy through fear and overwhelming force. But now someone else had more force. Someone else was more frightening. The humans had struck back, and the galaxy would never be the same. On his ship, Nick Carter prepared for the next battle. The aliens were learning that humanity had been peaceful by choice, not by weakness. When that choice was taken away, humans became something much more dangerous. The council had wanted to see human aggression. Now they were getting more than they had ever imagined possible. Admiral Ben Tucker's massive fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the council's home system. The sight before them was almost unbelievable. Thousands of alien ships were running away from their own capital world. The mighty council defense fleet that had protected 12 civilizations for 1,000 years was fleeing in complete panic. Ben stood on the bridge of the Revenge, watching the chaos through the giant windows. His fleet stretched across millions of kilometers of space. Over 2,000 human ships had answered the call. They looked like a metal storm cloud ready to bring destruction. Admiral, we count over 5,000 council ships in retreat, reported Commander Amy Rodriguez. Her voice shook with amazement. They are abandoning their own homeworld. Ben allowed himself a small smile. Just 2 weeks ago, the council had threatened to wipe out humanity. They had called humans a plague that needed to be removed from the galaxy. Now they were running from their own capital like scared animals. Any ships trying to fight us? Ben asked. No, sir. They are all running as fast as they can. Some of them are sending surrender messages, but most are just trying to escape. Ben nodded. The council had finally learned what every human child knew from history books. There was a big difference between people who chose peace and people who were too weak to fight. Humanity had chosen peace for 300 years, but they had never been weak. Open a communication channel to the council station, Ben ordered. The main screen lit up with the image of the Zephyrian High Counselor. The crystal being that had threatened humanity with extinction now looked completely different. Its body flickered with patterns that Ben's translation computer said meant fear and desperation. Admiral Tucker, the counselor said, its voice shaking. We wish to discuss terms. Surely we can reach some agreement that benefits both our peoples. Ben's laugh was cold and harsh. Terms? 2 weeks ago, you gave us terms. You demanded that we abandon our colonies and accept population controls. You threatened to cleanse our worlds of what you called the human plague. The counselor's crystal body flashed with desperate light. We made an error in judgment. We underestimated human capabilities. We are prepared to acknowledge Terran sovereignty over all your current territories. Current territories? Ben repeated. Counselor, I think you still do not understand what is happening here." Behind the counselor, Ben could see other alien leaders. They all looked terrified. Some were making the gestures their species used to beg for mercy. Others were trying to hide behind furniture or other council members. "We are not here to negotiate. Orders," Ben continued. "We are here to accept your complete and total surrender." The chamber behind the counselor erupted in alien voices. They were all talking at once, arguing and pleading in dozens of different languages. The counselor tried to restore order, but no one was listening anymore. "Admiral, please be reasonable," the counselor begged. "The council has maintained peace in this galaxy for over 1,000 years. Without us, there will be chaos and war." Ben thought about that for a moment. "You maintained peace through fear and threats. You ruled by making other species afraid of you. But now there is someone else they are more afraid of." As if to prove his point, Amy reported new information. "Sir, we are receiving messages from across the galaxy. 47 different species have declared independence from the Council. They are asking for human protection." The counselor heard this, and its body dimmed almost to darkness. "You cannot protect everyone. You do not have enough ships." "We have enough ships to destroy anyone who threatens our new allies," Ben replied. "And after what we did to your fleets, I think most potential enemies will think twice before starting." Trouble. The truth was spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. Humanity had not just defeated the Council military forces. They had completely destroyed them. In battle after battle, human fleets had crushed alien armadas without losing a single ship. The galaxy was learning that humans fought war in ways no other species could imagine. Captain Nick Carter, now promoted to Admiral for his victory at Kepler 442, appeared on another screen. His ship was in orbit around a former Council stronghold, 3 star systems away. "Admiral Tucker, the surrender documents are ready. Every Council military base in this sector has given up without a fight." "Any problems with the transition?" Ben asked. "None, sir. The local species are celebrating their freedom. Some of them have been under Council rule for over 800 years. They never thought they would see independence." Ben turned back to the main screen where the counselor was still waiting. "You wanted to see what humanity was capable of when threatened with extinction. Now you know. Consider this your only warning." "What warning?" the counselor asked weakly. "The Terran Empire will not be so merciful if anyone makes this mistake again. You came to our space talking about genocide. You leave it understanding why the galaxy left humanity alone for 300 years. The communication ended." Ben looked around his bridge at the men and women who had helped win this war. They had shown the galaxy that human peace came from. Human choice, not human weakness. "Amy, send new orders to all fleet commanders. We are going home." "What about the Council species, sir?" "Some of them are still asking for negotiations. They can negotiate with the new governments that are forming. Humanity is not interested in ruling other species. We just wanted to make sure no one would threaten us again." As the human fleets began their journey back to Terran space, they left behind a galaxy that would never be the same. The Council's 1,000-year rule was over. Dozens of species were free for the first time in centuries. New alliances were forming based on cooperation instead of fear. 6 months later, Ambassador Jake Morrison stood in what used to be the Council chamber. It was now the meeting hall for the new Galactic Federation. Representatives from over 100 species gathered to create new laws based on equality and mutual respect. The former High Counselor approached Jake slowly. The crystal being looked much smaller now, without its position of power. "Ambassador Morrison, I must ask something that has troubled me. Why did humanity show restraint for 3 centuries, only to unleash such devastating force when we threatened you?" Jake's answer was simple and honest. "Because we learned long ago that the strongest people are often the most peaceful, until they have no choice but to be otherwise. You mistook our desire for peace as weakness. That was your fatal error. The counselor was quiet for a long moment. What would have happened if we had simply left humanity alone? Then you would still be ruling the galaxy, and we would still be exploring new worlds in peace. But you chose to threaten our children and our future. No parent forgives that. The former counselor nodded slowly and walked away. Around the chamber, the new Federation was taking shape. Humans served as protectors and advisors, but they did not try to rule other species. They had proven their point and were ready to return to peace. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never mistake human restraint for human weakness. The Terran Empire had struck back hard, and the Cosmos would remember. Forever.